especially in our society now, everybody, it's all about being happy, being happy. The minute something is bad, I'm off that. Like, no, that is not necessarily bad for you. There's some importance to feeling that pain sometimes and suffering, because then that's what's going to make you appreciate those moments where things are great, and it's going to steer you to be like, okay, hey, that was a bad result, so I'm not going to do that again. Like, life is an A/B test. That's how I look at it.
It really is.
Life is an A/B test.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm your host, Jessica Carice, and this space is the place where we talk about seemingly random topics, but in all actuality, they're connected together. In today's episode, it's sponsored by J. Carice and Company, where we do project management consulting and anything and everything related to data. So today we have a very, very special guest. His name is Chrisley. Oh my God, Chrisley, I didn't ask how to pronounce your last name.
It's very easy. It looks complicated, but it's just Ceme. Like, I see you, you see me.
Okay, Ceme. All right. We have a very special guest, Chrisley Ceme. He is a sales and revenue growth expert with a proven ability to drive business success through strategic planning, team development, and scalable processes. With deep expertise in building high-performing sales teams, Chrisley consistently delivers results by implementing effective prospecting strategies, optimizing sales operations, and identifying untapped revenue opportunities. Whew. Chrisley, what?
That sounded amazing. What an intro.
Wow. Oh my God. Chrisley, you know what's funny? After all of that, I still know nothing about you.
Oh boy.
And before we came on the show, you had shared how it's harder for you to talk about yourself versus what you do. So Chrisley, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's see. Haitian American, grew up on the East Coast, in Fairfield County, Connecticut. I'm a big sports video games guy, if you will. I played football and lacrosse through high school and college. Love hanging out with my friends and family, just kicking it, having a good time. I love a good conversation. I can just go talk your ear off. So, stop me when I start rambling. I like to think of myself as a very introspective person. I love reading, history. I'm a big history buff. Believe it or not, a big politic guy. Not that we have to go into politics, but I've always been interested in that. I actually ran for office a long, long time ago. Like 2014, I want to say, back in my hometown for a common council. I ended up losing and lost by like I don't know, what was it, like a tenth of a point or something like that.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
I would have challenged.
I was so vexed. Thank goodness for my mother, because I was not going to do the whole concession speech thing and go to the concession party. I was like, well, I'm off this. And my mom was like, boy, you don't pick your butt up and go. So I ended up doing that, but it was a great experience. Learned a lot. I also learned, as much as people talk about corruption and all this and money in politics from a national scale, girl, let me tell you, on that local game, man, them envelopes be being passed. Man, let me tell you. I certainly learned a lot.
You're absolutely right. Because we have a fountain outside of our neighborhood. And the previous president of one of the HOAs here was maintaining it. But there were certain people in the local community that didn't like him. And some way, somehow, they were able to make him not be the president of the HOA anymore. And then they turned off the fountain. I was so mad. But you know what, Chrisley? You know what? Because of this podcast, I was able to text somebody in the local community government and be like, someone's just messing with the fountain. And you know what, Chrisley?
They got it back on. There you go. I love it. Oh man, I love it. Being able to use what you got to get the things you need.
I
But
found it back on. It makes me
oh, that hey, listen, you gotta hold on to those things that make you happy because happiness. I think a lot of us got it twisted where they think happiness is a um like a plateau, like a state you could just be happy. And no, happiness is the tip of the mountain. And the key is when you drop, because you're gonna drop, to mitigate how far you're dropping so that it's not always a constant going back to the summit of the mountain. And you just
happy.
have kind of like the stock market. You want your ups and downs to be like this versus
Yeah.
like this. And so I try to look at it that way and you know, manage my happiness and all those little things that'll make me happy in a moment.
You know,
What's that?
happiness. I had to redefine what that meant for me.
Oh, okay. Talk to me.
And the reason why I say that is because one of the points you said that as you're growing up from like 0 to 6, that's everything you need to know about the world.
Yep.
Right? 0 to 6, you're looking at the sky. You're looking at the clouds. You're drawing on paper. You're doodling.
Or the walls, if you're me.
Or the walls, if you really want to. You know, you go slow. You enjoy moments. You're yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But then as you grow up, people say, no, happiness is success, is financial freedom. It's, don't get me wrong, that contributes.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
not the core. It's not the core of happiness. It's the core of happiness is how you feel inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how I had to redefine it.
No,
yeah.
You're 100% right. And everybody's path to get them there is different. And so, but it's not to say you can't listen to advice from others because there's so many different, I don't even want to call them tricks, but things you can do in everyday moments to get you just a little one step higher. It's not so much, oh, what's the thing that just makes me at, you know, peak happiness. It doesn't necessarily work that way. It's about, okay, hey, here's a little thing. You're feeling a little blue. This will get you one notch higher. This other thing may get you one notch higher. You know, me, I like playing video games. So I'll play a little, some, you know, it used to be Flappy Bird or whatever the case may be on my phone or
Flappy Bird.
or pick up my Switch and
like
play
some
like
complex game.
Oh,
like,
no. That could be something super simple.
I wasn't expecting Flappy Bird.
You know, Sudoku. Oh, listen, I love me a good
That's
Sudoku.
good.
What? It could be something as simple as that. Or yeah, I could get complex and, you know, play some Call of Duty or something like that. But that's when I got time. You always got time like that. So I got to find the little ones as well.
The little ones, yeah, that's true. That's true. You know what game I started learning how to play finally? It was actually something, this was a request when I first met my husband. So we've been together 9 years.
Oh, okay.
When I met him 9 years ago this month, okay, I said, I want to learn how to play chess. I never learned how to play chess. Okay, he never taught me.
Great game.
I know. So I started learning how to play it like probably 2 years ago, like really paying attention to it. And it's such an enjoyable game, but there's like so much in just playing that game. You can draw so many parallels.
Oh, yeah.
To life.
Chess, you know what chess is? Chess, to me, is one-man football. And what I mean by that is like football, or I should say it the other way around. Football is human chess, where the coach is really the chess player, moving the pieces around. And as one of the players on the team, you got to execute what the coach tells you, blah, blah, blah. But in chess, you don't got to worry about coaching all them players. It's just you. And you get to, you know, move all the pieces around your board to ultimately get the goal. But they're very similar, except without the pain.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and you know, it's like when I wanted to learn it back then, I had an idea it would be really valuable just because of people talking about it, right? I'm like, I know it would be good. All these rich people talk about chess. I want to be rich too, so I want to learn chess. That's literally how I looked at it. Like, you know, so I grew up in Baltimore,
Be more. Okay. Sorry for your Ravens.
I know, right?
Sorry. I thought Lamar was going to pull it out this year.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I grew up in Baltimore, that place is Baltimore. It's Baltimore. So when you leave Baltimore, there's a lot you need to learn about the world. So like
Yes and no. I mean, yes, but I also think there's a lot you're armed with that you have over your
mm,
competition. You know what I
that
mean?
is true.
And so again, just a matter of perspective. You know what I mean? Like, sure, there's a lot
Hmm.
that you didn't get, but there's a lot that you have now innately. That a lot of people you're dealing with, they ain't got it.
You are 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
100% correct. Because when I get into like a corporate setting, so like client work, I do corporate clients.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I hear as feedback is like how I'm able to navigate so many different personalities and like
Oh,
identify,
yeah.
because I grew up in
That's
Baltimore.
easy. That's just chilling on the block. What? That's recess. What are we talking about?
Like growing up in Baltimore, you need to have a very pristine sense of what you think someone might do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Got to be able to read the room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you're also in corporate too. So you shared how you grew up in Connecticut
Yep.
and, you're a revenue growth driver. Can you bridge the gap? How did you end up where you are today? And are you happy where you are today?
That's a great question. So how I ended up there, it's a little bit of a long story. So as I was saying, I was playing football, high school. This may be my sophomore year. We had a team fundraiser where they got us these. They look like credit cards, but they're basically these little like discount cards for the town. And all the local stores have little discounts on the back of them. Where if you
Oh,
presented
that's
this
cool.
card, you go to like the local coffee shop, you get 10% off your coffee or whatever. Each card was $10, and they gave each of the players 20 cards. Say, hey, you have to sell these cards in like 2 months or whatever the case may be. All my teammates, for the most part, they just gave it to their parents. Their parents either sold them at their jobs or just gave them the 2 or 3 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that luxury. So I don't know what came over me, but I went home. I wrote a little script in my little notebook, put on the team shirt, and just started going door to door. And in like I want to say hour and a half, sold all 20. And I was like, oh, okay, this is something. Go back to practice the next day. Gave coach the 20 cards. He's like, oh, all right. And then a bunch of my teammates was like, hey, sell these for me. I need you to help me sell these. Blah, 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 blah. And so I ended up doing that. I sold those as well. I took some of them with me to show them what I was doing. And then in that moment, I said, oh, okay, I could do this. So fortunate enough, my high school had a entrepreneurship class and
Hmm.
a stock market class. So that made me enroll in those classes. And then that's why I ended up, studying business administration in college, got out of college, and it's just sold everything. Started off selling like car care products. Then I don't know what happened there. My boss um, transitioned me to selling makeup. That's a whole nother story. Because I was like, I don't know nothing about no makeup. But now I can tell you about SPF 15 and bronzer and blush. Then from there, transitioned into finance, and then finally got into tech, the tech space, working with different SaaS companies and SaaS products, and that's where I really kind of honed in all those skills and was able to level up into a sales manager, head of sales, so on and so forth. But it all started from them gold cards.
What's really cool? That you found you found a knack.
Mm-hmm.
You had a knack.
Yeah.
And everyone supported you with your knack.
Yes. I was very
Like
lucky in
you
that
don't
sense.
realize, Chrisley, you don't realize like how much that initial support when you realize you're good at something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
You're
realize
right.
how important that is.
No, you're 100% right. And there was never a moment where it wasn't supported. So like I don't even know, quite frankly, what the feeling is to be like, oh, I can do something and there aren't people, cheering me on, if you
It's the
will.
craziest thing, Chrisley.
Yeah.
I'll tell you all about it.
And so obviously I know there are people who don't get that support, and I definitely, empathize, but like I'd be a liar if I'm like, oh, I know how that feels, because I
That's
just
so
don't.
interesting.
Yeah.
So tell me what support feels like.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, for me, it feels, because I don't know the antithesis, it's
Yeah.
like my normal,
Yeah.
but I would say it honestly, it feels like even though you're not the center of the world, you have people that make you feel in any given moment that you're the center of the world. Um,
Interesting.
and I guess a perfect example is, so growing up, a big thing that my parents were like very stingent upon was like we always would have dinner together, right? No TV on, nothing like that. And so I'm one of four boys. So like we let's say we're talking about our day. We could be talking about something that makes complete nonsense, right? It's not right or whatever. But my mother would let us go on. And now if we were wrong, she would let us expound our point, but then she would tell us about ourselves and tell us how we're incorrect. But from those, it gave me the confidence to always be able to speak my mind and speak up. Because even if I'm wrong, okay, you'll tell me how I'm wrong, and then I can coordinate. Or if I disagree with you, we can have a back and forth. It wasn't, hey, this is grown folk talk, be quiet. No, I can interject. And if I do make a point that's right, hey, good job by you. But if I'm wrong, it wasn't like a reprimanding. It was just, hey, here's where you're wrong, buddy. Life don't go that way type of thing. So like there would be times like Friday nights. Remember like TGIF on
Yeah,
ABC and all
yeah,
that stuff?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
after watching all those shows, 2020 would come on.
Yeah.
And so we'd watch 2020. Maybe this week it's an episode about the drug epidemic or whatever. And then so now we're watching it, and then afterwards we'd have a discussion about it. And I'd
Oh,
get my viewpoints on it from a 7-year-old's viewpoint on it, but whatever. And then that just got me inundated with being able to digest information and, regurgitate
wow.
it in my own words type of thing. And so to me, that's support. It's really those, it's not so much, hey, the moment comes where, hey, I need your help, support me, whatever. It's more giving that support on a daily basis so that you always
Yeah.
feel supported, so that now when you are doing something, even if someone's not necessarily explicitly telling me I support you, they've been supporting me the whole time. I still
Oh.
feel it, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes so much freaking sense. You have no idea how much sense that makes to me. Because the other thing that was in the back of my mind is you like being in corporate America, right? It seems.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you worked towards being in corporate America,
Mm-hmm.
where like a lot of people who are in corporate America hate it. But a lot of people
I
who
can
are
understand
in,
why.
yeah, but they feel like they can't speak up.
Yeah. And I definitely understand that. Part of that I think is the fault of many leaders, where they create an environment where people don't feel like they can speak up. So I've been in many environments where people feel like they can't speak up. But what I found is the leaders weren't doing that on purpose. It
Yeah.
was unbeknownst to them
Yeah.
that they create an environment where people can't speak up. And for me, because I've always had that support, if I'm in that type of environment, will make me just speak up that much more. Now
Exactly.
I just know time and place. Hey, I'm not going to do it when you're sitting here trying to deliver the annual team meeting or whatever about a particular thing. Nah, that ain't the time and place,
Yes.
But hey,
Yes.
I'll take you to the side and just, hey man, strike up a conversation. And that actually leads into, confidence and support about, like, I take a lot of dating principles, honestly, into corporate America, where,
Mm.
the worst thing somebody could tell you is no. Like, honestly, I put it to you like this. The best way I tell people is the worst thing someone can do to you has already been done to you probably years ago when you were 6 years old, 7 years old.
It's so true.
These people in corporate America, they ain't gonna hit you. They ain't gonna, because they ain't dealing with HR. They ain't gonna kick you. They ain't gonna, the worst they could do is tell you no.
Yeah.
And a no is not going to kill you. You've been through worse.
Yeah.
Especially you're one of us. Been through worse. So, so no. So once you kind of arm yourself with that way, hey, I've already been through the worst. You can't do me
Yeah.
no harm. And ultimately, you want to make money. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. And so now I always tell people, anybody can come with an idea. So for me, I'll just do the thing myself,
Mm-hmm.
not tell nobody, do a little A/B test. And then if it's working and I got some proof, oh, then I'm big chested into the next meeting. Like, hey, so here's what I've been doing. Here's the results. I think we should be doing this, blah, blah, blah. And as
Yeah.
long as you're in around good leadership, they're going to be like, oh, okay, all right, cool. Funny enough, from playing sports all the time, I listened to a lot of Colin Cowherd. And this was years ago. He said one thing that just resonated with me, where he was like, don't chase companies, you chase good management. And if you always have good management, you're going to be able to speak your voice. You're going to be able to do all those things. So it's not so much that I necessarily love corporate America as much as I make sure I'm around good management, so on and so forth. And that just happens to coincide with being in a corporate setting, or at least dealing with people in a corporate setting.
Yeah. 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 It's very, very fascinating because the corporate setting is the most complex bundle of unresolved childhood issues, communication issues, emotional intelligence issues, like all these different minor little things as it relates to how you project yourself and how you feel about yourself and how you communicate with other people.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. 100%.
It's literally those three things.
But the reason why sometimes I find it a little bit easier is because the ultimate goal in any corporate setting, it's the same. It's money. So if I know that ultimately you want money, to me, it makes all those conversations that much easier because I know what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You want money. Okay.
You're
So I'm going to
right.
speak to you to your wants. And
Yeah.
if whatever I'm talking about, if I know the root of it is not money, I don't even need to waste my time with you talking about that because it ain't the money. And so yes, there's politics involved and you can get screwed over for sure. And all that other stuff. And so that's why, hey, maybe you want to deal with people in corporate and not necessarily be in the environment yourself. But there's a level of, I'm comfortable being uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And there is no more uncomfortable work environment, I found, outside of doing like extraneous physical labor like a firefighter in a crazy fire or something, than corporate America. And there's a level of like being in the dark. To me, this is going to sound crazy, but I find more peace in the dark than the light. Because
something? I literally said the same thing to my husband yesterday. Like,
really?
Because the dark, it has like the sense of peace. Yes. Well, exactly what you said. You can think. You don't have all these distractions, sensory overload. You can get into that deep sense of focus, like that focused thinking.
100%. And then in the dark, now I'm even with everybody. There is no, oh, you're 6'3", I'm only 5'8". You're black, I'm white. No. We're in the dark, we all on the same playing field. Versus once we're in the light, all of our prejudices or misconceptions or stereotypes now also come into play. Politicking comes into play. Blah, 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 blah. So like when you're in the dark, and for me, other people are now super uncomfortable in the dark. That's where I get my advantage. Oh, because you're uncomfortable being uncomfortable. Well, I thrive in uncomfort.
Do you literally like sit in a dark room though?
Yes, I do from time to time.
Oh my God.
Yes,
I did that last night. I do that. Yeah, literally.
Or like when it's dark outside, that's when I'll go for a walk to just kind of clear my mind. And it's just peaceful. There's no distractions.
Do you take showers in the dark?
Yes. I do.
I do too.
I
Oh
don't do
my
it all the
God.
time.
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes I
yeah.
have to, because I don't want to hurt myself, slip on something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's a
yeah,
whole nother
yeah.
thing. But every now and then, oh yeah, I'll take showers in the dark for sure.
Oh my God, this is crazy, Chrisley. Like, I thought I was just being a wacko. I'm like,
Oh, trust me,
yeah.
me too. I still think I'm a wacko. To be honest, I still think like it's like there'll be people listening to it be like, yo, y'all are odd. And I get it. Like, trust me, we're in the minority. There's more of us
Yeah.
than we probably think, but we're in the minority.
Yeah. Yeah, I am definitely wacko for sure. Like,
Yeah,
for sure, 100%. But it's like when you're a little wacko, it's like when you're a little wacko mixed in with some logic. Oh my God.
100%.
You know?
How I tell it to myself is, look, there's nobody that we call a genius who, when they were alive doing it, weren't called wackos. I'm
Mm,
sure, in Einstein's day, everybody thought he was nuts. Galileo, I'm sure they
yeah.
thought he was nuts. All these people. So, what is it? Madame Curie, I'm sure, I know people thought she was crazy. So,
Mhm.
that's my, not to say that I'm those people, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, Chrisley, it's really hard not to go, it's really hard to go back to not being crazy because when you start understanding, let's say, like collective consciousness and you see the patterns and cycles of human behavior,
Mm-hmm.
you can't go back to unseeing it.
No, no. Nor should you. I don't think you should try to be like, unsee it. Like, to your point, once you see it and you apply it. The key, I think, is to not allow what you see to take away your innocence or
Exactly.
your pure, what makes you you. Now that can be difficult. It's easier
Very
said
hard.
than done,
Yes.
and not allow that to bring you down or make you feel like, well, hope is all lost. You still want to hold on to that hope, but yeah, you definitely can't unsee it for sure.
Yeah. 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 100%. 100%. One thing you said that kind of still is like stuck in my head
Mm-hmm.
that I realized like my upbringing had veered away from was the family dinners.
Mm.
The family dinners.
Yeah, those are very, very important, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Like, so my parents split when I was 5. So before they split, we would have family dinners.
Mm. Okay.
After
Do,
they
do you remember
split, huh?
do you remember the dichotomy between what those family dinners were and how you felt versus afterwards?
So here's the thing. My background is Jamaican.
Okay, I'm Haitian, so I get you. We're on the same page.
So, like, my dad, he had this thing where he would make this thing called Happy Potion or Happy Potion or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Chrisley, it would be the most spiciest food ever. That's what I remember. The spice. I remember sweating from my face.
Sounds about right.
Everyone's just sniffing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Your nose running. Yep.
No one's talking because we're just trying to get through it. That's what I remember. I don't
Okay.
remember
Common suffering. That's bonding.
Yeah, right. The common suffering about how spicy the food is and how it doesn't make sense. And then my dad would be like, "Oh, this is delicious." We're like, "Oh yeah, yeah." Like that's what I remember.
Oh boy. I
But
remember those too.
yeah. But it's like the that it definitely felt unified.
Yeah.
And after they split, like of course, like then things are just on my mom. So my mom has to, do whatever she was doing to try to get by. So then it was just us, the kids, and there's 5 of us. Well, 4 of us at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it would just be like us. But then you have the natural kid animal hierarchy dynamic with age ranges and groups. So then you just
Oh
kind of
yeah.
things just kind of break off, and then you just get into your own world. But then it turns into like competition,
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So
You ain't gotta
like,
tell me twice.
yeah. So like the one thing, maybe a memory will come up later on in the future because it's funny because my memories are coming back now. But like I don't remember being like, I think this and expressing my whole self. And then for the feedback, it was more like, shut up, you're stupid, you know? So then you get like more introspective. And then I remember journaling a lot. So I would express myself through art and I'll express myself through journaling. But it was hard for me to express myself verbally.
Now, your art and your journal, did you share those? Or did you keep those to yourself?
I would keep those to myself. Occasionally, I would write a letter to my mom if I was really upset about something and I just couldn't hold it in anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would write a letter. Yeah.
And did you get feedback from the letters?
Yeah, it would be the same thing. Like, I read your letter. I'm sorry you feel that way. You know, like.
I got you. I hear you.
The same stuff happens again
Same
anyway.
Stuff happens again. Oh boy.
Yeah.
But no, and to be fair, it's what I've realized as I've gotten older. You know, yeah, my parents did it through family dinner, but it doesn't have to necessarily be dinner time. I think the point was having dedicated time to cultivate home team, if you will. Like that was my dad's big thing. He's like, hey, this house is home team. To the point, if we were in the house, like I'm wrestling one of my brothers or fighting my brothers, my mom would literally just be the referee. She'd let us fight. and watch it to make sure that there's no punches to the face or nothing like that. And then afterwards, every single time, she'd be like, hey, you guys can do this all day, all night, no problem. But the minute you step outside this house, it's one band, one sound. And if somebody's messing with your brother, whatever, y'all ride together type of thing. And so I think for them, it was just more so having those moments where, again, there's no physical, but to cultivate that bond and that team so that, you're really one family unit. Like I'm sure there's some people, they may not necessarily do it dinner time due to, hey, mom's a surgeon, dad's a lawyer. They don't have that opportunity to make it dinner time, but maybe they make it Saturday afternoons. We go to the park or something and have a kumbaya session or whatever the case may be. But I think it's more so just making sure you have those moments that are dedicated to coming together. It could be in front of the TV. Like in our example is 2020. It might be some other program. I remember we used to, with my mom and my brothers, we used to watch, remember Flavor of Love?
Oh, yeah.
We would watch every week. We'd watch Flavor of Love and discuss Flavor of Love. It was so wild to me that my mom was into it, but she was into it, and we would do that.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
So yeah, it's just having those moments where you get together and bond and then chit chat and let the conversation go. But I think from a parental side, it's giving your kids at least the impression that you care about their nonsense. And it could be, and I know sometimes that's difficult because it's, kid could talk to you about something that just makes no sense, but just have them, let them get that out and it'll cultivate, at least for me, definitely cultivated that confidence so that now I could talk to, oh, you're my age? You're not even, there's no intimidation. Oh, you a boss? Okay. Yeah. You just got the title, but hey, I used to get my butt whipped. You ain't gonna whip my butt, so I ain't worried about it.
I really love that, man. Like that is so fantastic. Chrisley, like I'm a very dramatic person on the inside sometimes, not all the time. And it's like, I like finally got to that place maybe a couple of years ago where it's like, I really don't care what your title is. Like I need to get my job done. And I find like the more that you kind of just equalize people, like to your point that you mentioned earlier, it's like the more you feel good about yourself because you start trusting yourself to express your viewpoints to these people, whatever level. And then then you start getting this positive feedback loop like, oh, they're valuing what I'm saying. Oh, I do have good things to say. Oh, I am making sense. Like, you know what I mean?
100%.
And it's like speaking up will like get rid of any type of self-doubt or any insecurity. I think the phrase that I hated that was going around was, what is that word? Imposter syndrome.
Oh.
Like that word is crazy to me. Imposter syndrome.
Yeah. I mean, I understand where it comes from and I get it, but it's definitely overblown.
Yeah.
Because,
overblown.
you know, like for example, playing sports. I remember my dad used to tell me, "Hey, man, listen, they got 2 hands, you got 2 hands. They got 2 feet, you got 2 feet. All right, they bleed the same way you bleed." And then when you come to find, and when you apply that to business and corporate, what you find is those people on those high levels, people don't talk to them like
No,
they're a regular person
they
or
don't.
whatever the case may be, and they actually are yearning to have people in their circle that they know, hey man, he'll check me, she'll check me, whatever the case may be. And now, granted, there's a fine line between checking and coming off obnoxious, but as long as you're not crossing that line, you'll get that positive feedback, and you'll recognize, oh, yeah, okay, he owns the business and blah blah blah, but he's just a dude. Like he's just a dude. He has the same
Yeah.
problems I have,
Yeah.
dealing with his crazy mother-in-law or whatever the case may be. Like he's a regular guy.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can just speak naturally. Like literally look at them like you look at the homie.
Yeah. And everyone's just trying to figure it out.
That's it.
Everyone's just trying to figure it
has
out.
it figured out. Nobody has it figured out.
No, because things constantly change.
Mm-hmm.
Even the richest person in the world is still trying to figure out something.
100%.
Everyone's just trying to figure it out. Like that's
if anybody tells you they have it figured out, those are people you stay away from. Those people you stay away from.
Yes, there's no way you have it figured out. Like
absolutely
100%.
not.
Oh, so speaking about TV, there's a show called Foundation.
Foundation. I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, you
I'm a
haven't
TV
seen
guy.
it?
Foundation. What is this?
It's on Apple TV. It's on Apple TV.
Okay.
You have to watch
Apple
it.
TV. Put me on. What's Foundation?
Foundation. Ooh, so it's like one of those sci-fi, like futuristic theme type of show, right? And the premise is you have this crazy mathematician that has this thing called like psychohistory, where based off of all the variables from the past, you're able to calculate very accurately what the events that's going to take place in the future. However, you can't predict what an individual will do. It's only the aggregate.
Okay. That actually makes a lot of sense. I believe this.
So here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's up against Empire. So Empire has been the ruling dynasty. They clone themselves. So all their DNA is supposed to be exactly the same. Clone after clone after clone after clone. And so the way how the story starts off, you think the mathematician is trying to liberate people. But then as time progresses, you kind of don't know who's the bad guy, because the mathematician was trying to control chains of events and didn't tell everybody the full plan. So he was like manipulating a lot of things. Where Empire is just trying to maintain things so things don't collapse and go into chaos.
I see the twist. I see where you're getting at. It gives me little Hunger Games vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna check this out. Foundation. Let me write that down.
Yeah.
Watch that.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Foundation. All right. I'll hit you up about it.
Yeah. No, it's pretty
a show,
cool.
Right?
Yeah, it's a show. There's 2 seasons so far. The third one's supposed to come out hopefully this year. I don't know. But it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah. It's really cool.
Have you gained any like insights from it?
Not yet, because it got me thinking. It has me thinking.
Okay.
It has me thinking about, like, when people get riled up about something, like talking about this whole imposter syndrome thing, right? People get so riled up about it because it gets so overblown.
Yep.
But then there are consequential things when something gets overblown. So there's you heard about it was like some study. I'm totally paraphrasing it, but it was about the rates of suicide when someone is announced that they committed suicide in the magazine. So this was years ago. This was like a newspaper. They found that whenever they reported or announced that somebody committed suicide in the newspaper, then the rate of suicide would increase.
In that particular area, I presume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So if you have this concept of imposter syndrome and it's getting blown up, that means more people are taking that to heart and questioning themselves. Like, am
Yeah.
I actually good at my job? Maybe I have imposter syndrome too.
Mm-hmm.
Just because like of how human nature is. And so it's like I brought up the show because it's like this mathematician got so many people riled up about,
The Empire.
empire,
Yeah.
the quote unquote problem. But then as the show is progressing, because of the mathematician, unaccounted for chaos started to ensue. So even his plan got, you see.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there is something too in that particular story, order, which is what the Empire is providing. And when you don't have order, you get chaos, and that can be applied to many, especially nowadays. That can be applied to many things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting because there is a part of you that you want to live in a world where you can predict what's going to occur versus a world where you can't predict what's going to occur because then God only knows what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Well, you probably want a healthy balance of both.
Mm-hmm.
There is a level of order that is necessary for society to function at large, but then you still want to have room left over for the happenstance because those are what creates the happy moments in life. It all stems back to the happiness thing and something. There's a lot of Eastern philosophy that I think makes a lot of sense that us in the West could look at more often,
Mm-hmm.
like the yin yang, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, what the yin yang represents is, yeah, there's good, bad, evil, whatever, but you can't have one without the other. You
Mm-hmm.
can't have happiness without pain. Because if you're always happy, to my point, talking about when I said I don't know what it feels to not be supported, if you don't know what pain is, how do you know that you're happy?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not so much that you want to, like I tell people, you don't want to run away from pain. You want to embrace it, but don't live in it.
Yeah.
Like fear, another big one. Like I try to
Yeah.
not do
Fear's crazy.
something because of fear.
Yeah.
Like I don't let my fear dictate my actions.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't mean that I don't have fear. Trust and believe. There's many things I'm afraid of,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not allowing that fear to dictate what I do, and not allowing that fear to ultimately control me. But
Mm-hmm.
especially in our society now, everybody, it's all about being happy, being happy. The minute something is bad, I'm off that. Like, nah, bad is not necessarily bad for you. There's some importance to feeling that pain sometimes and suffering, because then that's what's going to make you appreciate those moments where things are great, and it's going to steer you to be like, okay, hey, that was a bad result, so I'm not going to do that again. Like life is an A/B test. That's how I look
It
at it.
really
Yeah.
is. Oh
Life is an A/B
God.
test. And
It
if you
really is.
and if you're living in fear, that means now you're not testing things to find out, oh, this works, this doesn't work, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that saying, what youth is wasted on the young, is very true.
It really is. It really is. But since like I woke up from whatever, life kind of throws at you and you don't even realize you get stuck. I woke up from a lot of that. And I kind of just lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about waking up from living in that fear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
living in that fear. Oh my God. So like when you wake up from living in that fear, you start to want to try things new. Like when you live in fear, you
absolutely.
want things to stay the same.
Yes, very much, very much.
But when you
It's
get
back
out
to
of
the
it,
it's
yeah.
back to the being comfortable being uncomfortable, you know.
Yes.
And once you're able to be comfortable in that space, new experience. In fact, not only do new experiences don't necessarily scare you, you seek new experiences.
You do.
Most people, when you think about it, most people never move outside of their zip code, let alone area code.
That's true.
And not to say that you have to or anything like that, because hey, maybe you, whatever, it's working for you, you're good, you're successful, whatever the case may be. But there's, a level of just understanding people, understanding different types of people, understanding living that A/B test by venturing off, going into different spaces. It's going to force you, like, if you have a problem meeting people or whatever the case may be, you go move somewhere else, you ain't got no choice but to meet people. Because as much as, we have email, we have instant messenger, all this, as human beings, we thrive in community. And that isolate, why is what is that called in prison? Isolation or whatever. I can't remember the term of it right now. But why is that
solitary confinement?
Yeah. Why is solitary confinement the thing that everybody don't want? Because we can't thrive like that as human beings. And so we naturally seek that. And if you struggle with that, I think the perfect remedy is you jump off the diving board, go somewhere new, and you'll meet people. Your body will just force you at a certain point in time. Hey, you better have a conversation with this person.
Yeah. Yes. I finally turned into that person. I never understood it before, but I observed a lot of networkers. I'm like, but then you got to pair it with purpose.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're.
But I think at the beginning, you're not going to have that purpose. Like, for example, I'm at the point now, some of the best therapy I've ever gotten in my life was talking to complete strangers.
Yes.
Like complete strangers.
Yes.
Like I remember one time, I was at the hospital, just in like the waiting room, waiting for somebody. And I was just struggling with professionally. And this black doctor, happened to come into the waiting room, sit down, whatever the case may be. And I just start chatting with the guy, get to talking. And after 20 minutes, I'm crying. He's crying. And we talk, I was just talking to him about, man, I'm struggling with this, struggling with that. I don't know what to do. I feel at a loss, blah, blah, blah. And that is honestly one of the deepest conversations I've ever had in my life. Complete stranger. I couldn't tell you his name.
Oh, y'all didn't even exchange numbers.
None of that. We just had like a mini therapy session afterwards. He was like, man, I appreciate that. You lifted my spirits, da 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 da. I'm like, man, you did the same. Blah, blah, blah. From
wow.
There, good.
Oh, that's so nice.
Crazy run professionally. But yeah, just from striking up a conversation. I distinctively remember one moment. I was on the train. This was when I was working in New York City. I'm on the train into the city. And the train is packed, right? And then this older, not even older, maybe early 50s couple comes onto the train, and the husband has on like black sunglasses. And because the train is so packed, they kind of get separated. They're maybe now standing 2 arms length away from one another. And everybody on the phone, everybody on the train, I swear it's an Apple commercial. Everyone's on their either iPad, iPhone, whatever the case may be. And the guy, I'm just people watching. I love people watching. And the guy, I see him, he just puts his hand in his pocket. He takes his hand out of his pocket and he's bleeding. And I could tell he did not know he was bleeding, right? He's like, oh, what the hell? And I see him, he looks up, just looks at, mind you, no words are spoken. He looks up with his sunglasses on. And his wife happens to look up at the same time. She looks at him for like half a second. Mind you, when she looks at him, his hand is back in his pocket, right? But he has like this he's like disgruntled. She just goes into her little backpack, pulls out a handkerchief, passes it to a person and says, hey. And then that person passes it to her husband. And then her husband takes the handkerchief, puts it on his hand, right? For like maybe 10 seconds. And he goes to give it back to her. And she's like, basically saying, you're not done yet, right? So he puts it back on his head and just stands there. And I'm sitting there amazed. I'm like, wow, this couple just had a full conversation with one another without saying a word, not even looking into each other's eyes, just looking at the body language. And I was like, oh, is anybody else seeing this?
That's so cool.
And I don't even know why I got into that, but yeah, it's just, hey, I just feel like once you're in tune like that, you know yourself, it's gonna be that much easier to know the next person.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're all interconnected in that way to a degree. Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously, husband and wife are gonna know each other than, dude, stranger. But there is a certain level of connectedness that I believe we all have. And I don't think you get to the point where you're not knowledgeable, but conscious of it until you're able to kind of separate fear, living in fear, being in
Yes.
your comfort sense, all that.
Yes.
That's when you'll be able to pick up those vibes and ultimately protect yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought up chess.
Ah, okay. I see it. I see the circle. I see the circle.
Connecting the dots. So these
Yes,
are the
yes,
things I
yes.
ponder about when I'm sitting in the dark room, not listening to anything, just sitting there.
Yes. Yeah. Your mind goes crazy. I know. Start thinking about the wild, and then you ever, for you, whenever you have like let's say you have a good session in the dark,
Mm-hmm.
does that like trigger the most wildest dreams?
You know something? I don't really dream anymore so much. I get crazy ideas. I get a lot of ideas.
Okay, these come up during the day while you're awake or like while you're asleep?
While I'm awake.
Okay.
And I get the most ideas first thing in the morning.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of ideas first thing in the morning. And then throughout the day, I get a lot of ideas. I got a lot of ideas throughout the day. And then
do you record them or like keep them? Because I find myself, I'll come up with a whole bunch of stuff and then forget them.
I record them. I have running notes on my phone. I have like probably 5 different notebooks. I have a little notebook I keep in my purse because I prefer to write it.
Yeah.
That's the most ideal.
You are speaking my language. I have like a whole bunch of mini notepads.
Yes.
All these
All the
scribbles,
chicken scratch.
and I'm writing, keeping them in my pocket at all times.
Yeah.
But sometimes I forget, or if I'm in the middle of something.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, cause like even, like I'm still trying to, I'm in the process of writing a book.
Okay.
But here's the problem, Chrisley. Because I'm like intentionally living my life, like let's do new things.
Yep.
I keep learning new things. And then I'm like, no, this is not the direction I want to go in my book anymore. Because I learn new things. I have my moments when I'm sitting in the dark or in the shower in the dark by myself. No animals, no husband. I'm by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just get like another sense of like interconnected concepts that piece together. I'm like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And then you know what happens? Like when that happens to me, then like I have these type of things like a podcast, and the person I'm talking to happens to talk about the concept that just formed in my mind like maybe a couple days ago.
Paralysis by analysis. That's what that is. This works for me. You could give it a try. It's you make deadlines for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and,
it's not necessarily. No, it's not the analysis paralysis in that way. It's more so like thinking about strategy.
Like new ideas. Yeah.
Yeah.
But with the deadline, like when I say deadlines, it's not so much. I need to do this by this. It's more so, okay, I need the first draft
with my book.
Yeah, yes. For the book.
Okay.
By X date. So that now, you may have additional ideas that end up popping up in your mind, and those can be in your notepad, blah, blah. But okay, the first draft of this chapter has to be done by X date. So that now once that date comes and it's done,
what if I don't like it?
What if I don't like it? Hear me out. There's time to go back and change. You create deadlines for like each chapter, right?
Yeah.
And then you have another date where it's like, okay, hey, any revisions I want to make for chapters 1 through 4,
Yeah.
have to be done by this date. So this way you still are coming up with different ideas, but you have
Yes.
your lock-in dates for each section, if you
I
will.
guess what I could do, to your point,
Mm-hmm.
I could use the big first. This is my cat, Luna. I love her.
Hey, Luna.
She just jumped on my lap just now.
No worries. My dog is over here passed out.
Oh, that's so adorable. So I guess like when I get like let's say a major new concept shift,
Mm-hmm.
I could just use that towards the outline of the new book, right?
Yes,
I
100%.
could do that too, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because I have that same struggle. Because I started, wow, maybe like 3-4 years ago, learning how to code
Oh,
because I wanted to make, back to video games. I wanted to make my own video game.
your own Flappy Bird.
Yeah, basically, right? And so what happened is I'll come up with all these different concepts. I'll start this one, then, oh, wait, here's another idea, but they don't marry together, right? And so what I found is, all right, I'll just use that for something else. And that I still get to trigger that muscle and I write down, okay, here's this concept for this concept for this, but I can't start that until I do this. And so this
Yes.
way I give myself those basic mini parameters or KPIs. Like, hey, you can't do this new idea you want to do until this thing is done. And so now that just gives me more incentivization to be like, all right, let me finish this thing, lock in and do this thing so I could do that dope thing that I just thought of.
Yes. Chrisley, I have an idea for our 2025. Sorry, I
Okay,
have to
I'm
give her
listening.
kisses. We love each other so
Of
much.
course.
I love her. She's my twin.
Got you. And listen, that's fortunate to have a cat who's loving because many of them, they want to be to themselves.
I think I may have toxoplasmosis because the way how I love her, I think she controls my brain. Like, I love her so much.
Hey, that's a beautiful thing.
You hear her purring? I don't know if I can get it in there. No, there's no purring. It's not getting in the mic.
It's messing with that.
But I have a goal. I have a thing for us for 2025.
Okay. I'm
You
game.
finish your video game.
Woo! Okay.
And I finish my book.
Okay. Okay. I like it. I like it. I like it. It's like having a personal trainer. You're holding me accountable.
And we should schedule a podcast recording for next year to check it.
Yes. Yes. I like that. I like that. I will finish it.
That might be my podcast strategy now. Like each guest we have a goal that we need to hit by next year.
There you go.
We check in.
That's how you get those repeat guests.
Exactly, right? Like what happened? Chris, tell me, how was your year?
The only flaw is if people don't hold serve. Are they going to be willing to then publicly be like, "Hey, man, I didn't hit it."
Oh, that's game changer. That
Yeah,
is game changer. All right, man, that's a great idea. I'll let you. I'll keep you posted on that development.
I like it. I like it. I got you.
Oh my
We'll make it
goodness!
happen.
Thank you so much for coming on here. I had so much
Thank you for
fun.
having me.
This
This was
was like
amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
so great way to like end wrapping up the day. You know, we both had intense days. So
Mm-hmm.
you dropped a lot of hot fire.
Oh, thank
You
you.
dropped
You
a lot of
yourself.
hot fire. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, yes.
So if you had to give your top 3 pieces of advice
Mm.
on living a good life, what would it be?
Okay. Number 1 is the golden rule. Do unto others as you want done unto yourself. I know it's simple, but it's very easy to not do it when you're upset. So the golden rule, number 1. Number 2 is accept the fact that your life is going to end. I know that sounds dark, but when you accept that it's not forever, you're more than likely gonna live each day to the fullest, or strive to live each day to the fullest. So accept that, it's not forever. And number 3, Number 3, I would say, is don't forget the little kid inside of you. You do those 3 things, you can take that into any field, you'll be all right. But don't forget that. Don't forget the little kid in you, because the little kid in you is going to keep you honest. The little kid in you is going to make you appreciate those blessings when they come around. It'll keep you open to those blessings when they come around, and will help you connect with others. Because, we all come from different backgrounds, different this, different that, but we all have a little kid in us. And so I think those 3 things will be all right.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Chrisley. Thank
You're
you
very
so
welcome.
much.
My pleasure. My
And
pleasure.
where can people find you?
Let's see. You can find me on LinkedIn, Chrisley Ceme. You can find me at senders.co if you need any help business-wise or anything like that. I actually just started another little agency. So you can find me at, you'll love this. It's called AESOPco.com, AESOPco.com.
Oh.
And Aesop is the Greek word, word for like storytelling. So it's the storytelling company. So you can send me an email at chrisley@aesco.com. Where, again, helping alongside business revenue operations primarily. It's still super in the beginning. So if you do go to the website, don't mind the crude website. It's really still under construction, but you can certainly find me there as well.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chrisley. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Hey, listen, anytime. Let's certainly keep in touch. We don't have to wait till next year.
I know.
And we can certainly keep the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And anything I can do to help you with anything, just shoot me an email, hit me up. I'll be more than happy to do so.
Thank you so much, Chrisley. This was fantastic.
Not a problem.